Memento Mori is the 15th full-length album from Marduk, and I would say one of the more well-known sort of legacy bands that I'll kind of be covering this month, or well, this month and next, where I'd like to see how well I can catch up with these very extensive and some would say bloated discographies from these very well-known bands and sort of take them on in a serious way and see where the band is at now and find the value in it. And this was pretty easy for Marduk. If you follow them over the years, I have a lot of love for what they did in the 90s and all of it. I mean, the death metal albums are the first album is a death metal album. It's pretty fantastic in terms of deeper cuts from Swedish death metal that a lot of people overlook. And then Those of the Unlight was their serious turn into black metal, probably their best, for me, their best black metal record, just because I like this step into the second wave, and it was the perfect time for that record. It still had some death metal in it, and it was just exactly what I wanted. Um, Beyond that point, they were more of a typical Swedish black metal band, one of the bands to define what that was in the 90s, and certainly their work with the vocalist Legion is the best known. The late 90s stuff is really where people caught on to this whole Marduk thing, and for two different reasons. The important one is Panzer Division Marduk. That's probably the best known album from the band. It's certainly for the decade after it released. So we'll cut ahead rather than go through this extensive discography and point to the fact that this band has changed the lineup quite a bit over the years, focused on the one guitarist's work. They've brought in the vocalist who is best known for his work in Funeral Mist, as well as many other projects. And this collaboration has kind of defined what they were after the vocalist Legion left. And the sound changed dramatically after 2007. Now, personally, my own taste and where I'm coming from with this review is I really liked ROM 512 much more than anything else that came after Panzer Division Marduk. Not that they had stagnated or changed too much in the interim, but that was just a point of something new and fresh and creative for the band, where they had just sort of they've been searching for it for a couple of records. So in that sense, they've put out a ton of records with Mortis, and this is another one of them. And it's this is a different drummer and all that. So I'll get more into that. But right now, let's cut into a song just so you can hear how this record sounds and what's maybe a little bit different and surprising about some parts of it. So the main reason that I skip over most of the Century Media released discography of Marduk is that I didn't find a lot of it really did anything more and extra beyond what Wormwood had done in 2009. I didn't feel like it just kind of felt like the songwriting wasn't amazing or exaggerated in a way that really just surprised me over the years. And of course, there's a million other bands to listen to in that style. So Victoria was a sign that they were trying something different, and it variously worked and didn't. But I liked that there was a cohesive feeling to the album that didn't feel pulled out of a well, but more designed for that record. And I guess Memento Mori, what it does is it resets even that down to sort of a fundamental sense of excitement and speed and sort of a thrashing black metal energy, which is, it's at least different than anything they've done in a while. And I would say it almost feels almost mayhem-esque in terms of the way they've cranked some of the speed back up into their sound and experimented with some new ideas, whether they're like tinges of industrial or dark ambient throughout, or some of the more involved steps into just black thrash or thrashing speed, which it kind of tries to be a riff album as much as some of the late 90s albums were. So there's a little bit of an organic feeling there. There's a little bit of a militaristic feeling there. A lot of the things you'd expect from Marduk. And it makes for a pretty good album with a lot of speed behind it. It's inventive in a simple way. It's thrilling in its fast movement and cut of several riffs in a row. It feels traditional in that sense. But there are a couple of songs like Shovel Beat Scepter that are very different, and I would say almost funeral esque in the way that they play out. And for me, that's an exciting addition to what Marduk does, and it tempers some of the all-out speed and aggression of this record a bit, to the point where it at least listens well on repeat, and has a couple of things that spark up in there that are interesting. So a couple of throwbacks, a couple of new additions, and it feels like they're looking in both directions, forward and backwards. And they say as much in the press release and the very simple amount of text they provided, and that they're trying something a little bit different, but also sticking to who they are. And it does feel like this is a signature Marduk record that, look, it's at least a bit more entertaining than the last several. And maybe I was too hard on Front Schwein. I didn't think it was that interesting, but at least I got as much of a kick out of this record that I did back in 2007 with Romans 5:12. So that's kind of where I'm at, where this is at least one that pinged my radar, and I was excited to dig into it and sort of get to know this record. And I think longstanding Marduk fans will be. Maybe it won't be a grand innovation or a callback to what you liked before, but it's got a little bit of everything in there if you want to listen to a Marduk record. So uh, I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it. Yeah, I think that's kind of the main point, is I just enjoyed listening to this record, and I didn't really the last several from this band. So that's my recommendation. It's a high recommendation. If you'd like more information, go and read the written review, and go check out the album when it releases Friday.